So today is module 1, session 2. We are going to be focusing on some experientials. So let me just wait for you guys. Hey, Hannah, how are you? How are you? It's good to see you.
Yep, you too.
I know. Well, let's see if 2 more people show up today. I love the way you're dressed, and thank you so much for your homework. That was so incredible. I loved it. And you found that app. That was also, I was very curious about it. How did you hear about that app, and how was your homework for you?
Oh, I didn't do the meditations. The reading was okay. There's a lot to remember there. I'm gonna let that digest and reread it. The app somebody told me about probably 7 or 8 years ago. It was a lady in Canada, a former nurse, and she mentioned it. I heard about other apps from people like Spooky and various frequency generators, and there's machines that'll do the same thing, handheld ones, bigger ones with plasma tubes and all sorts of stuff. But I like that this will run on an Android or an iPad, and it has visualizations, and it's, you know, of all of them, pretty much the most intuitive. So I like that. Yeah. And then it has that whole, I don't know how accurate the aura colors are, but I thought, well, okay. I mean, the only other way to check it is ask somebody who has these skills to say, what do I look like?
Right, for sure. I love it. And I love how visual you are. That was also incredible. Do you notice that you also use other senses? Like, do you also experience kinesthetic sensations or intuition, sense of knowing? Like, how else do you receive information typically?
I get metaphors or things from movies. Like I used to see like a big grayish, bluish green cucumber, stone cucumber, and it was like a stone over my heart is basically what it was. Or when I was doing the exercise where I couldn't see how close my hands were, but like right now, I can feel something, and if I move them slightly closer, I can still feel like every so often there's like not a wall, but you just feel like something's there. And then they come closer, and then something's there again. But the whole time coming, I feel like almost like when you first touch fur, like a nice fur coat, and right before it kind of compresses the hairs, you just feel the little hairs touching. So that's kind of what it feels like. Yeah.
So a bit of tingling, a bit of sort of that sensation. Beautiful. I love it. That sounds great. So let me just go over what we're going to cover today. And I know one of our students, there was an emergency with his car. I'm not sure if the other 2 will join in, but they're watching it and recording as well. Okay, beautiful. So let me just show this to you. So today we are in module 1, session number 2. And we're basically going to go over similar elements like last time, but we're going to dive into experiential. So this is going to be our Hogwarts experience when we will be sensing into the energy field, and we're going to be opening the chakras. We will be diving into the soul level, the level of intention. And another important component of today's session will be, I will teach you, and we will focus on a powerful healing technique that's called chelation. Have you heard of this healing technique before?
I don't know if you mean chemical chelation, like where you, I've heard of intravenous and other forms. I suspect this is not in that.
This is energetic. Yeah, it's an energetic sort of healing practice that also Barbara talks about. And so we will go over this, and I will also teach you how to do healer prep, which is the preparation that we need to do before each of our healings so that we're not using our own system, right? Because it's very easy for us to get depleted. It's very easy for us to start a sort of getting negative energy from the clients. And so in order to avoid that, what we need to do is we need to ground, we need to stay open, and we basically need to vibrate at a higher frequency than the client. So we're going to practice that together. And then I will also go over the homework with you. There's some reading involved, so reading and watching is here. There's some extra stuff if you wanted to read more. There's always more, but it's a lot of information, so just see what works best for you. Barbara goes into chapter 18 here in terms of the core. So this is more on the level of the essence. And this is chapter 17, which is more about the level of intention and the heart dimension. So we will go into experientials on these, but if you wanted to learn more in depth about those levels, it's pretty interesting. So this is from Light Emergent, and this is from Hands of Light. And here she dives more into the observations of the auric field. But in our sort of homework that we need to accomplish is more about psychological functions of 7 chakras. We covered them a little bit last time, right? So this is just going a bit more in depth, and you don't have to read the whole chapter if it's too much. You can just sort of get the information that works best for you. And then chapter 22 is important because that's the one that covers chelation. So this is the full spectrum healing that we're going to go over. You also have a few handouts that I'm sharing with you. One of them is about chakra opening. So this is a more practical exercise. HSP, high sense perception exercises, in case you wanted to sort of practice. And you are very clairvoyant, right? You have a great high sense perception already. But if you wanted to just kind of experiment with it more, there's a high sense perception handout. And then together we are going to go over chelation handout that shows the hand positions. I included a few videos here as well, so you will be able to see sort of the energy sensing video. And here I'm actually going through chelation, so you will be able to see what it looks like as the way I would do a healing. Beautiful. And so some of the practices would be on just sensing energy, but more learning chelation hand positions. It would be great if you would be able to find someone for a healing to do a chelation practice healing. Do you think that would be possible for you? Yeah, beautiful. That's wonderful. And so maybe do one chelation before our next session, or a couple, whatever you can fit into your schedule. And we will also practice chakra opening exercises. There's a sound file that we will practice with today. It's called 7-minute chakra tune-up. I believe it's in the course materials. So let me just dive into the course materials, and it's this one here. So you can play it and you can practice to it. Beautiful. And then in terms of the written homework, it would be great if you could send me more information about the healing, right? So when you go through the healing, how did your healer prep go? How did the process go? Anything you might have kind of noticed about clients' chakras or the field. And here we're not going in depth yet. Next session is going to be more kind of focusing on that personal work and also that emotional work, but just some observations and more on client communication and their feedback. So that's as far as sort of the written portion of it. Do you have any questions on this so far?
No.
Okay, beautiful. Sounds great. So let's just go over some of the handouts. So this is one of the handouts, Energy Centers Opening Practices. So there are 2 ways that we can, and of course it's endless, right? Like we can find all sorts of meditations on how to open the energy centers. Do you have your own preferred way of opening energy centers? Have you done this before, Hannah?
Nope.
Beautiful. So we're going to explore one today. This is going to be the one breathing from the top. And we are using colors in order to expand the energy centers, and we will be using that sound file that also plays the frequencies, and each musical frequency corresponds to the frequency that opens up the energy center. So that's one way of opening energy centers, but you can also maybe do it in a more sensual way, like breathing from the bottom using PC muscle squeeze, right? And that's we'll get more into sort of that in our energy orgasm section, so that it becomes a bit more sensual because you're adding the PC muscle squeeze. But in this case, we're just going to be practicing opening energy centers and breathing from the top, and we'll do it together. Okay, let me just stop sharing for a second because I want to access this file. Okay, so this is another handout that you will get, and this is the HSP foundational exercises. So high sense perception, right? Like reading auras. How can we tune into somebody's auras? How can we interact with them? And so this recommends starting to breathe into the stomach using a diaphragmatic breath, and then sort of dive in into 6 senses multidimensionally, opening up to just allowing all of the senses and tuning into this person, right? And so it could be maybe you may be tuning into them in terms of sensing a push or a pull or any type of interaction between your energy field, which is more kinesthetic. It could be maybe more visual, which might come easier to you. And this is either just closing your eyes and just kind of reading it on your mind screen, or maybe softly gazing at the person, or maybe just off the person and trying to receive the information visually. Go ahead.
I did like the exercises in the book, the hand holding exercises, where you would say, okay, I'm going to send energy in one direction or the other, or out of certain hands or the other. And I was doing that with my daughter as well to see, okay, where do you think it went, or what did you feel?
I love it. And how did that go?
I think she got it. I mean, it's kind of a 50-50, which hand did you feel it in? So it's hard to tell if it was a lucky guess or not.
Yeah, and it's a great thing to do with your kids. Like often I was doing with my younger daughter, she got so interested in intention setting that we've been setting intentions. Like we were aligning with a level of intention, the heart align, and we were meditating together. And I also included sort of opening the energy centers but also I would say, hey, level of intention is all great, and setting but let's get the action plan in order, right? Like let's write down your goals. And so you could definitely combine it with very helpful ways of teaching them. It could be so much fun and great quality time together as well. Some people actually they receive guidance by hearing things. It's probably not as common, but sometimes that also happens. And some people may even like sort of smell and that reminds them or something. And then there is intuition, or the download of information, sense of knowing. So just kind of exploring how can you read an auric field of your client and see what senses are your main ones. Then there is another kind of approach to reading auras, and this is similar to what Barbara was saying, in a darkened room, right? When the light is natural, maybe it's kind of the sun is setting, so it's not too bright. And maybe you have sort of a neutral background, and then you're looking at your fingers and you're just gazing on them. So we can do it together if you want, like if you can find a neutral background underneath your hands. And so the connection here, or the technique here, is not looking to find something, but actually just allowing the information to come in, right? So you could just sort of start gazing at your hands gently, and then notice if anything happens. So let me know how that is working for you. So just kind of slowly receiving, and that, like for me, that also creates a kinesthetic feedback, right? Like all of a sudden my hands start feeling like they have more energy running through them. And sometimes you may see a bit of a halo, a bit of kind of bluish grayish halo around your fingers, right? And that's sort of the first layer that you're tapping into. And for some people, it's easier to just look away, or maybe even close their eyes, right? So let me know what comes up for you when you're just kind of gently gazing.
I do see, well, I don't know if it'll come on camera. What I see is about that far away from my finger.
Yep.
So it's not very big, but what I see is the light around, and then it's almost like there's a little shadow on the other side. The color is it's not tough to see the outline, like when you trace your hand on a piece of paper with a pencil. The color is what's difficult for me to perceive.
And sometimes it looks more like a haze or a bit of a fog, right? Or maybe grayish, bluish, like it really depends. But that's the closest layer and level to our skin is called etheric layer. And that's the one that is the densest. And so it's easier to perceive. And the further away we go, the harder it is to perceive the layers. But sometimes you may kind of discover, like as in meditation, it's easier, right? When you're in a state of trance, you can discover all of those kind of colorful shapes and different forms, right? And your auric field that changes color all the time, depending on what type of emotion you're having, right? It may all of a sudden turn, I don't know, orange when you're excited, or it may turn dark red when you're like sad, right? There could be some gray if there's fear, for example. And if you feel happy, your field may like burst and expand, whereas if you feel sad, it may go in and just become very, very small, right? So it really depends on your state of being and your also interactions with others.
When she talked about so I know the auric was the bridge, and then there were the 3 in the spiritual plane and the 3 in the physical plane. When I think of, when you first learn in school about a body, right, in the physical body, I know she talked about a template. So I've heard other people talk about that being kind of like a mind pattern for a belief, right? So I know we have like even just growing, right? Because babies don't think, I don't know what babies perceive, I think far more than we give them credit for, but I think the intention to grow and become and have longer limbs, right? I think that template is there before they grow into the template, right? But she talked about the etheric and the catheric, and it seemed like there was a template, and then there was like a template to the templates. And when I think, what am I touching here? Like, is this the template, or is that like the 2 of the bottom 3, or like what is this here?
Right. Yeah, for sure. Like she talks about the etheric layer being the template for sort of the physical layer, right? And it has all of the like even if you have a cut on the physical level, there would be a cut on the etheric layer, right? And the structured levels tend to be sort of those templates. The unstructured ones tend to, I guess, hold more of the emotions or maybe interactions with the other people or other creatures. And then there are, like, I believe it's template 5, 6, and 7. They are sort of the opposites of the more of the earthy ones, right? So it's very interesting the way she describes it. And it's great to be able to perceive that. And I notice that whenever we are in a healing space with the client, you are often able to tap into those layers, whether it's their emotions, right? Whether it's maybe their even belief systems. Sometimes you can even encounter their memories, right? And all of that we do by just really synchronizing with their levels, with their field, and sort of just allowing for them to enter into our field. Great, beautiful. There's also sort of an explanation on how to hold colors. So a lot of times we would use colors in order to channel a different frequency. And so if you think about different energy centers denoted in different colors, and Barbara gets very specific with this, right? She says that, for example, etheric layer has chakras that are blue, right? Because everything is blue there. But then the typical colors of the auric field that we refer to are actually, they reside on the second layer, which is the layer of our emotions, right? And this is where we typically go for red, orange, yellow, green, bright blue, like purple, and let's say white, right? And then again, they change to yellow on the more of the belief and the thought level. And then the astral level is kind of similar to the second one, but it still has a bit of a different tint. So we don't have to necessarily know all of those colors, but sometimes during the healing, you would use a different color to channel depending on what you feel the client needs. All right, so you may be able to focus on, let's say, your sexual energy center, exude the orange color, visualize it coming into your hands, and then basically healing with orange, right? If you feel that that's what the client needs, or you can just turn yourself orange. And there is such thing as it's called harmonic induction. And I was just trying to research it for my master's program today, just to find any type of scientific backing, and I couldn't like come close to it. But the way it was explained to me at school is when you're holding the state of being, it's like, somebody meditating for hours. When you sit close to them, you can feel that change, right? Like it really affects you because their frequency is so high that it's like subconsciously just starts affecting you. And so the phenomenon is called harmonic induction. When, let's say, I'm holding the state of like open sexuality, my client has nowhere to go, but they're sort of receiving and trying to lift up to that level of open sexuality. So I'm sort of encouraging them just by being in that state to also be the same, right? When I am doing the healing, I am in a state of complete openness, right? And I'm vibrating the high frequency. And so lower frequency starts to just rise to that frequency. So just by being me, by being you, we exude this healing state that can lift them up and can heal them. Like, for example, if you have a client who you feel needs love, right? You can open your heart and you can start channeling green and just place your hand on their heart, right? And that is extremely healing because in my experience, most of us, that's what we need. We need that human connection, we need that human touch, and we need that beautiful love and frequency. Or if you feel that they need more confidence, right? Maybe tapping into your confidence and holding that color, right? Or maybe holding your level of intention if you feel that they need to manifest something. You can also guide them through it. My approach to healing is quite verbal. Like some people get quiet and they just do the healing, which is fine. I tend to do both. I hold the state of being that I need to hold, and I sort of apply my techniques, but I also would guide the client to do visualizations. I would teach them how to set their intentions. I would teach them how to open their energy centers. And as you will find out with the energy orgasm, we will have very sensitive clients that you don't need to explain too much and they just basically go with the experience. And then we will have other clients that actually need to learn how it works, right? And so for them, we will actually teach them how to become more sensitive. We will teach them about the energy centers and how to open them, right? And so there's sort of a spectrum of people that we're working with. And so a lot of times the healing work for me includes education as well. So as you progress in this, you will also find your own style. Like, what do you think would speak to you, to your style? Like, what do you think you may be able to offer as a healer? Would it be more staying with it? Would it be more teaching? Like, what comes up for you, you know?
Listening to people, actually listening to the words that they use.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even if I think about how I speak to people, and then I'll notice, oh, you use that word again. What are you really saying? Like, you're saying so much with your choice of words, like somebody who, would be able to pick out certain things, by the topics. So I think when I listen to other people and what they talk about, I think there's a lot that's between the lines that comes out. And
I
they
love
seem,
that. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think they kind of, people don't always come out and say what it is that they're missing, but they'll start talking and then you'll see where the gaps are. And I feel like they're almost like they're putting their fingers into the dirt to make little channels for where they want the water to go and the healing to go.
Yeah.
I think that's I think that's more of what it would be.
I love
for
it.
people healing words. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's so important. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I want to ask about, as you were talking about the frequencies, right? So I think, are the higher frequencies dominant? Is it like they're the louder noise, the scream on the whisper, where, because it could go either way, right? I mean, you either repel each other, or you match each other, right? So you either go down to where they are, or they come up to where you are. But I don't know how that, if people are there, it's because they want to feel better. So I would think just their own intention and free will would take them to where they want to go. They're looking for something to like a sound to listen to, right? So if I just follow that, then it'll be like, here's the music, listen to it, right?
Yeah, and I guess it's different for everyone. Like, we had some people who you actually use sound and healing, like they would sing, right? And that, a lot of people do that. When I speak about frequency, it's usually the lower notes they denote the lower chakras, and then the higher notes denote the higher chakras. And it's not necessarily like a difference in the volume, but who knows, you may be able to play around if you like playing with the sound. And we will go through our experiential today, and you'll hear those sounds, the sort of the specific frequencies that denote each chakra. And then you can also look on YouTube, and like, I think G goes for sexual energy center. Like, they actually have specific notes that we can sing and experience in order to stimulate a different energy center. You can also kind of tune into the feedback that your client is providing non-verbally. Like, let's say you are holding frequency, and just feel into what the response is. Are they getting nervous? Do you feel like they are grounding with you if that was your intention? Are they lifting up to the loving energy. So as you're holding those states, you're kind of always tuning into what is the feedback, right? Like what is the space between us? And then you can even talk to them. Like sometimes when I start the chelation, place my hands on their feet, and I tell them what to expect. And I say, you may feel grounded, or you may feel energy running through you, or you may feel nothing at all, right? You may actually fall asleep, or you may be in a state of trance somewhere between being asleep and being awake. And sometimes when I place my hands, I may notice that somebody's very anxious, right? And because there's like this vibration, like almost shaking, right? And so I try to ground for a bit, but if I notice that there's a dissonance, I would voice it, and I would say, and you might be feeling uncomfortable, like, how are you right now? Can I, do you want me to slow down? And I can always adjust the energy. And sometimes you would place your hand on someone, and then you just feel like there's a flow, right? It's a beautiful kind of wave of energy that keeps moving, and you both are in this very, very kind of deep state of trance, right? And then so it's always kind of that feedback loop. Did I answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Great. And I also wanted to say that it's so important that what you said, right, is listening to the client, because that's how we learn. That's how we learn what they need. That's how we learn who they are. And so that's perfect approach, just listening to them first, and then maybe teaching if we actually know what they need, right? So I love that. Beautiful. Great. So we could be holding colors during the healing. And then there's also an experiential here on how to read chakras. So you can sort of try that with a client or not. And it also explains to you how to kind of tune into their energy field and how to start reading their chart. And you did that really well for your own energy centers, right? So it's kind of a similar way. In a way, it's a similar approach. It's just you're tapping into the other person. Beautiful. So you can just go through that. Great. So let me maybe cover the chelation right now, and then we're going to dive into our experientials. So Barbara has this diagram in chapter number 22 here, that has different kind of numbers that denote the movement of the energy and the hand positions. And I also drew them here, right? So these are sort of the energetic points where you would hold your hands. But I'm going to go through the theory with you now, and then we're going to practice a little bit. And of course, when they're on, usually the way I do with the healing, I have a massage table and the person is fully clothed. I would offer to cover them if they get cold, right? Because it doesn't really matter to us what, they typically are wearing, comfortable clothing. I would give them a pillow, and sometimes a person may need a pillow for their knees, so you can ask them that too. In lieu of massage table, I guess you could try something else. I ask them usually to get closer to my side so that I don't have to reach and be in a very uncomfortable position, but I want to make sure that they're also comfortable, and their legs would be just a little bit open, but no, not of course not as much as this. Beautiful. And then when I start the chelation, before I started, I explained to them that it's basically an energetic balance and healing. It allows us to balance their energy field, to charge their energy centers, and to be able to clear some of the blockages that they may have. They may feel, hi Simon, welcome. Beautiful to see you. You're muted, but okay. Sounds good. Let us know if you can use your mic. There you go. How are you?
Hi. I'm good. I'm doing good. Sorry, I'm missing a part for the computer for my headset. I'll be right back. I'm so sorry.
Okay, no worries. Sounds good. Beautiful. Well, at least we got one more person. My goodness, maybe the next time it's going to be 3. Who knows? And at the end, it's going to be 4. There's always hope. Anyways, so I would typically give them heads up in terms of what to expect, right? So I would say this is a balancing and charge and healing. It's kind of simple in a way, but it's very powerful. I always do chelation as my very first healing. And we would do this healing before the energy orgasm healings, because it is just so foundational, and it really allows you to help them balance out their energy field. It allows you to charge all of the energy centers. And it also allows you to kind of tune into and maybe test out a bit of the central healing and see how sensitive they are. And that's how you would find out how many more sessions they may need in terms of the energy orgasm. And typically, before I had a course, right now I have a Solo Mastery Energy Orgasm course that I give to people, and then it comes, I can like sort of add a session onto it if they wanted the guided version. Before I did the course, I used to do energy orgasm over 4 sessions, just to make sure that, I go through proper healing. We, go through the blockage removal. The person, if they're very kind of analytical, understand the process, they understand the energy centers, we start working on the sexual energy. And at the end, like last 3-4, session 3 and 4, that's when I start kind of practicing the energy orgasm. So chelation would always be session 1 and 2, and maybe even 3, depending on how many blockages they may have and how well they respond to this healing. Does that make sense? Beautiful. So we usually would start by opening up our energy centers and grounding into the earth. The energy centers opening up allows you to increase your frequency and make sure that you're open and you're vibrating at the higher frequency, so that no low vibrating energy will get stuck to you. And then grounding into the earth and continuously getting the energy from the earth allows you not to use your own energy, and so you don't get depleted. And so as we're going through this healing, you're constantly holding the open space of the energy centers being open. You're kind of checking in with yourself, and you're constantly holding the grounding with the earth. Once you feel expanded through your centers and connected to the powerful grounding energy, this is when you can stand to the left of your client. And Simon, I'm just going over our module number 1, session 2, right? And we're going over chelation. It's a powerful healing experience that you guys will start practicing going forward. Are you familiar with chelation? Have you done it before, Simon? Have you heard of it? No? Okay.
Oh, this is the first time I hear about it.
Beautiful. So chelation is a very powerful practice that allows us to balance out clients' energy field. It allows us to work on their energy centers and clear some of the blockages. And it's always my go-to. Like it's a multi-dimensional healing, basically, that you would do initially for first few sessions before you dive into the energy orgasm work. And so this handout is available to you guys, and you will see, and we will practice it in a second, what is needed, right? So opening all of the centers, grounding into the earth. And then when you feel that you are grounded, you will stand left to the client. And so typically a client is sort of on the, it's actually client's right, but it's like, you're kind of like, if you're facing them, you're on their left, but to them, you're on their right. Does that make sense?
So their head is at your left hand and their feet are at your right
hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my dominant hand is at their feet. And are you guys both right-handed, or are you left? Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. So the right hand is at the feet, and the left hand is at the head. And so I stand to their left, and I ask them to part their legs just slightly, and then I encourage them to close their eyes. And I will probably take them through a diaphragmatic breath. So I would ask them to place one hand on the heart, one on the stomach. Notice the way they're breathing right now. Typically, we breathe and take very shallow breaths in their chest. And so I will encourage them to do a diaphragmatic breath, which is a very slow breath into your stomach, and you can count till 4, and then you would hold, let's say, for 2, and then slowly breathe out for 4. And so what it does is it jump starts a parasympathetic nervous system, and this is the part of the nervous system that's responsible for rest and digest. And so that would instantly kind of put them into a more grounded, more balanced, more mindful state. And then I would encourage them to close their eyes, and we would go through maybe 6 cycles of diaphragmatic breath. And then once they feel that they're grounded, then we will start chelation. And here also, when you go to your course materials, we have a few experientials, right? For example, band of light, sensate focus awareness. So I may guide them through one of these, right? Just to relax them even more. If I feel that the client is too anxious or they're not present, I will just kind of take them through these experiences. Great. Then let me just get back to this handout. Okay, and then what we're going to do is Barbara, in her book on chapter 22, right? That's what you guys will see in your homework. She explains chelation in depth, and her method is, it takes longer. Basically, there's like a quicker way and a longer way. You can try both, see what works best for you. I always do the quicker way just because it's easier for me, but you can always do the longer. So if you look at the body of the person, right? And these are sort of the energetic points where you would place your hands. First of all, I will tell the clients, can I show you my hand positions? Just get their permission first. And then they're like, sure, right? And then I'll lightly touch their ankles, and I say, I'm going to place my hands here. Then I'm going to place my hands here, and I will put them on the knees. Then I will place my hands on your hips, and I will keep it sort of, you know, further away from the genital area. And then I will place my not dominant hand on the second energy center and my dominant hand between their knees, so that it's facing the perineum, but it's not in perineum, and it's just at a comfortable distance, right? And so when you charge the perineum, this is where one of your hands will be, and this is where your second hand will be. And then basically at any given point, it's important for us to keep the contact with the client. So as I'm changing the hands, I would keep one left and one, you know, I would move it, and then I would move another one, right? Like I never remove both hands because we want continuity in terms of them just feeling secure and sort of safe, and that you're always holding them. And so you just proceed through the body. So here's where you charge the first, then you move your hand second to third to fourth. When you're on the fourth, you hold it vertically so that you're not touching the breast, right? You just sort of hold it like that. Some people are uncomfortable with hands on the neck, so you can ask them how they feel about it. You can either hold it above or underneath. And then at this point, I typically turn around and I would place my hands on their shoulders, their temples, and this is how you would charge the third eye. And then I would hold it above the body and basically focus and set my intention to close the energy field. And this is how you would charge the last two centers. So let me know if that sort of gives you a bit of an understanding in terms of the hands positions, or if you have any questions.
When I looked at her diagram, the root and the crown, there was only one, but with the others, there was one on the front and one on the back. Does it matter? Whether
so they say that the root and the crown are the pair, right? The rest of them, they have a front and the back. And when we're healing, we're basically channeling the energy throughout, like through the body. And so we're basically targeting both front and the back when we're in the heart, right? Or when we're here. But yeah, they do have two aspects, except for the ground and the top one, which is the pair, and one connects you to the earth and one connects you to the sky. The quicker version is the one that I outlined. So the one that I showed you, it's kind of a longer version. You place your hands and you kind of change and you go up, you know, one by one, up each leg. And then she's going to describe it in like in sort of the second chapter. You'll see that basically you just go one by one. In my chelation, what I do is I basically place a hand and the elbow, and then hand and an elbow. And this is the quicker chelation we were taught in her school. So it's sort of her method as well, just a quicker one. And so, you know, this would be my first step. One hand here, hand and elbow, one hand here, an elbow, right? I would hold there for a bit, then I would move this hand, and then I would, you know, go with hand and elbow to hips and this position, right? And then when I'm ready, I'm gonna basically join her method where I just place one hand on the second, one charge in the first between the knees, and then just move up the body. So the quick method basically just makes it quicker at the bottom. You're speeding up the time because you're using your elbow. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Great, beautiful. So this is, if you read this and if you read her description in chapter 22, I think things will become even clearer. But basically here I'm explaining that you're doing the hand, the elbow, and hand and the elbow. And then how do you, like, what do you do when you place your hands on a client's body? And I'll just stop sharing so that I can see you guys better. So when you're holding this, when you're first connecting to the client, right? your intention is to sink into their energy field energetically. So you sort of visualize an energetic hand coming out of your regular hands and they're sinking into their body. And then you're just holding, making sure that you're grounded, making sure that your energy centers are open and that you're channeling the intention that they said. I usually ask them about intention before the healing as well, right? And it could be something like, I want to relax, or I want to, I don't know, be more open, or I want to fall in love with myself all over again, something like that, right? And so depending on their intention, I would hold that intention and I would focus on sinking my energetic hands into their energetic body, and I would hold it. And so typically what happens at the beginning is there may be a bit of like a penetration, like a bit of kind of entrance into their field, right? And then you kind of tuning into feeling, okay, what is this feeling like for me? You know, is the client comfortable? Is there an energy flow? And the way I experience energy flow, and I know Simon does a lot of long distance healing, so please let me know what it feels like for you. For me, I feel like I'm in the wave, right? There's like this energy exchange. There's just like basically this beautiful wave that just keeps on going through me and the client. What comes up for you, Simon, when you're doing a healing? Like, how do you know that you're in the flow? What type of feedback do you receive?
For me, the healing that I'm doing is a little bit different than what you're doing. So the way I receive the information is I will have a discomfort in an area. And from there, it's telling me to go look into this area. And then I scan the area. And what happened is there's a negative energy that's lingering there. And I just pick it up and remove it.
Gotcha. So you mostly you tend to pick it up out of the field.
Yeah. I tend to feel more than anything else.
Beautiful, got you. Beautiful. And here with this chelation, you can also do that as well, right? So if you feel that there is some kind of, let's say, darkness, maybe you see it, or maybe you feel it, maybe there's a sense of discomfort, what you can do is you always hold one of your hands as a stabilizer, right? So you would hold it, let's say, on the solar plexus. Let's say you want to pick something out of the second energy center, right? You are stabilizing with your non-dominant hand, so that the person feels grounded and safe. And then with your dominant hand, you would basically scoop things up and you would wait a little bit just to feel the weight of it, or maybe see it, just get some type of feedback that you're getting it. And then slowly take it out of their field. And then you can either offer it to the light and visualize it just disappearing with the light, or you can basically take it to the earth and then make sure that it actually goes into the earth, right? Because what tends to happen is that a lot of times, because the blockage lives there, it can snap back in, right? Because it's so comfortable in that space. So unless we take it all the way out of the energy field and we make sure that it actually does dissipate, right? It may go back in. And of course, I always tell the clients that, you know, the client healer relationship is sort of a partnership, right? It's sort of synergy between us. And so we can make all sorts of changes energetically, but unless the person actually questions the beliefs that are not working for them, right, and is open to change and is doing something in their world also to maybe work with a therapist, right, or perhaps read some books or align with different belief systems, it may still come back, right? Because whatever was happening there before that had that configuration, that's what they're predisposed to. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Beautiful. Great. Wonderful. So you keep going through the body, and basically the feedback that you receive, in my experience, when you need to proceed is when that energy flow kind of subsided. So there was like this wave and it was going and you felt great and you felt like you were making a difference, and all of a sudden you feel like it has cleared. Like it's just balanced. You just kind of trust yourself, right? And that's when if you're very visual, you can also check and see sort of in the body or see energetically what they may need, and also how does it correspond to the complaint that they came with or their intention, right? So if they're saying, I need to open my heart, you will probably spend more time on the heart just because that was sort of their intention going forward. Or if they wanted to focus on sexuality, you may spend more time on the sexuality. But if there's nothing specific that you're seeing, just basically go by the feel, and when the flow of energy kind of subsides, you move to the next energy center. And throughout this whole experience, you make sure that you're keeping grounded and that your energy centers are open and you're just in the receiving the state of trance, basically, right? And you can check with the client and see, how they're feeling. I was just telling Hannah that my process is more interactive. Like I tend to tell the clients what I'm doing, or I'm asking them to visualize something, or as later we will learn, I also take them through a multidimensional body scan where I'm asking them questions and they're responding. But some people just like quiet healings, and that's great too, right? That allows, so usually in my process, there is like 15 minutes or 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the end of the session where it's just quiet, right? Because that allows them to fully just dive into the healing space, go into a state of trance, and just receive, right? And I also want to normalize my client's experience. So whatever happens for them, they may not feel anything at all, right? Because some people have expectations of like seeing these incredibly vivid images and like just reaching enlightenment right there and then. And so I just give them a range. I say, this is what, you may be able to expect. You may fall asleep. You may be fully awake. You probably will be somewhere in a state of trance. And typically, when I do chelation, the person goes into a pretty deep state of trance. Some of them actually fall asleep. I also have a music that I play. The music that I enjoy is called Singing Bowls, and mine focuses on the, I think, sound G, which is the energetic frequency of the sexual center. So I can send you guys that name of that artist if you want me to. And also I would love to hear from you. So let me just make a note. I'll send you music link, but I would love to know what works for you. Like I noticed that I use that sound file because it puts people into trance. Like it's just so I don't know, it just kind of taps into your subconscious and it relaxes you, right? But sometimes I may use more sensual music for energy orgasm, right? Like if it's a more active healing where like I want them to actually, actively participate, then I probably will not give them like a mellow, soothing music where they fall asleep. And some people have trouble letting go, right? Sometimes their mind just keeps racing. And so I can encourage them. I can say, whenever the thought comes to mind, just visualize it as a cloud in the sky and just don't get attached to it and just keep coming back to the breath. And so I just kind of normalize it. And I say that first few times you go through healing, you try meditation, may be difficult to just stay connected to yourself. And that's fine. But I think it's great to be able to just mindfully observe whatever is happening to you without judging. And they tend to, especially when you go into higher frequencies, they tend to go into a pretty deep state of trance. Sometimes they may get emotional, right? Sometimes, especially when we do the multidimensional body scan and we're looking for different blockages, sometimes you may see a client who will cry on the table and that's sort of cathartic release for them. Sometimes you may see a client who is like afraid because you are releasing as you're running this energy into different energy centers, and you may feel into different blockages and start kind of removing them. Changes start taking place and things shift, and so they may process this energy energetically as a wave that runs through them, right? And then I can check in with them and say, are you still okay? Do you want me to stop? Is it okay to proceed? Sometimes it does get uncomfortable if you want to release pain. Go ahead, Simon.
So for me, the way that it happened is I am the one who's crying for them.
Really?
I am the one who is releasing all that attachment because they are not able to do that for some reason, right? And therefore, I am the one who's just bawling. And I have to tell my client to, like, if you see me crying, I'm just releasing it for you because obviously you're not able to release it, right? Or not all of it. Because some of the energy is from past life as well, right? So when you start dealing with stuff like this, it's hard for them to feel it. So it just comes through me and I release it for them. But yeah, I do cry quite a bit.
Right. And you can always tell them ahead of time.
Yeah, no, I
Most
have
like
to.
like I always tell people I will use my breathe, like my breathing technique will change. And so you may hear me breathe. It's okay. Like I'm just channeling energy dependent on, because there's a technique that you do for the third eye. If you wanted to get into more kind of specifics, I could teach you guys, but you have to do like a rasp breath in order to increase the frequency. And so that's like very highly, like they will notice it. So just giving them heads up. I was going to say that it, of course, depends on your personal style, right? And your healership and your approach. You can control the amount of energy that you feel coming from the client. Like, for example, if that's your preferred method to process through you, right? And that works for you, that's great, that's fine. If you didn't want to do that, however, you could internally ask your guides to say, okay, you know what, this is too much for me. Because sometimes I am doing a healing and all of a sudden I feel my client's pain in my foot and I'm like, I really don't need to experience this right now. Though I talk to my guide and I'm like, hey guys, I really appreciate the feedback, but can I receive it in a different way? Like, could we maybe, you could just give me like an understanding, you can point to it, you can maybe show me in my fingers, I really don't want to feel this pain, right? And so you can change that. If you're feeling too much during the healing, you can always rebalance, you can always set the intention and feel less. So it really depends on your approach, but that's definitely available to you. You can ask and transmute what you're feeling. Does that make sense? Beautiful. And it's also, self-care is important, right? Because like maybe if you have a few clients and and you process that way for them, it's okay. But let's say you have, I don't know, 5-6 clients a day, and like each of them takes enormous toll on your emotional, which they say, emotional state of being, right? Like how good is it for you? So you need to also be careful in terms of your own well-being.
Oh, for sure. But it's not every client,
Sometimes.
Yeah, it's just sometimes. It depends on the client. I mean, not everybody release the same stuff. So,
yeah.
But I totally understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's beautiful to be so sensitive, right? Like, because we are all obviously very empathic, right? We are all very sensitive, and that's our high power, like it's our superpower. But at the same time, I guess it comes with certain price, right? Like if we feel a lot, then we just need to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves as well. So that's beautiful.
How did you find clients in the beginning?
For me or for Simon?
For both.
Simon, do you want to go first?
For me, you know what? I just let the universe guide them to me, and they do come to me. When it's appropriate timing for them, they show up.
For me, as I was going through school, I needed to do practice healings, like kind of similar in a way to what you guys will start doing. And so for practice healings, I would look around, and it's typically better to not, practice on relatives, for example, or like very, very close friends, right? And so I would reach out to community that would be open to it, like whether it's, I don't know, healing community or like a yoga community, something that's overlapping a little bit, or somebody who's into meditation, who is into ecstatic dance, right? And so I would offer healings for free. And that's how I started out. But then once I've learned it, right, I already had sort of a network of people that were interested in what I was doing. And when I said, okay, guys, I've graduated, I'm going to start charging, that, my practice sort of started growing. And I think it's also a great idea to, as you progress in this and as you want to, like, do you want to do it more as a business, Hannah, or more just kind of personal hobby? Like, what is your intention with this?
I think personal hobby right now, just because I enjoy the other, my other life at, Home Depot and doing that kind of work. I guess I'm just used to working on corporations instead of working on complex systems instead of working on human complex systems. But it's more the interaction that I crave with other people. Hey, let's have an experience together. Or you tell me, what's happening, and then I can tell you what I'm feeling. And
I love it. So then maybe just like I was going to suggest a business plan, but it could be just a variation, and just think, okay, who are you interested in connecting with, right? Like maybe this is like I know ecstatic dance community are people who are into like meditation and movement and healing. Is there like a personal growth community that you can tap into, or meditators, or people who are into mindfulness, personal development, like whatever, something local that you can reach out to, and then maybe eventually more long distance, and someone you would be interested in connecting with, because then, you know, it's going to be a great energy exchange for you as well.
But I do agree with you, staying away with the family and the friends, because sometimes, like, we do have some friends and they don't always see the same view as we are, and the belief is sometimes different. So when you start going after friends to ask them to do stuff, I mean, you can always ask, but from my experience, I actually lost friends over this because they don't believe the same thing.
Right.
And therefore it's, oh, I should not have done that, or, you know, but at the end, I'm all okay with it. But I do stay away from friends and family for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think as we change, our group of friends like changes. I noticed that too, that, you know, when I went to healing school, like my group of friends changed a little bit. And then when I started engaging more into like sexual exploration, you know, I like started connecting with people who were more open-minded, right? And I think it's you just kind of tread in this line of, I think there's a range of clients we can see depending on how much we share, right? Like some people tend to go into like really new agey end, and they would be like all about chakras and work field, like even your language, right? And how openly persuasive we are in terms of spirituality or maybe religion. And the other hand is something like, yeah, sure, this is like universal love, right? Like, or this is the energy field, the closest the, you know, science comes to it, this quantum physics. So I try to kind of give, you know, go into more scientific end, right? And I wouldn't say that this attracts atheists, but at least it's a bit more open than just the new age community. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I found two kinds of people, I guess, who go here. The one kind says, the more I learn, the less I know what's real, and they just enjoy the process. And then the others learn a little bit, and then they're very convinced. Like they'll say, no, there's just 7 chakras, and there's nothing beyond that, or there's this many dimensions, or there's and it's like, well, how do you really know that? No, this is what Atlantis was like. This is what, you know, my crystals are talking to me. And then I think, well, I don't know. I'm more in the first group of, I learned something and I think, okay, well, that resonates with me now. And then I learned something else. And then
stay open.
Yeah, because you just keep learning more and more and more. But I feel like sometimes the disconnect with people is they expect it to be a certain way, or they want to have a certain experience, and then you either don't live up to that, or they kind of resent you for making them question why things aren't the way they expect them to be.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And then when we started the session, Hannah also said that her approach to healing would be, because I said my approach to healing is I sort of teach and I do the healing. And Hannah said that her approach would be to start from listening, right? And I really love that, because I think clients come to us and everyone is so different and we have no idea where they come from. And so unless we listen, it's really hard to hold space and also help, right? So I think just listening to our clients and learning more about their background and their, you know, the different cultural and social effects that, you know, they had growing up, and their belief systems and so on, right? And just adjusting our teaching, adjusting our healing to make it beneficial for any type of client that comes in. I think that's the best we can do, and just stay non-judgmental, inclusive, and open to continuous learning, because I think we also learn so much from our clients. It's not just them learning from us, right? Like when I went to school, each healing we would do, they would ask us to write down, what did this client reflect to you from your life, right? Like how did they echo the struggles you're going through? And you find that each client actually does bring like a piece of you. It's sort of, you know, you can almost like relate to it at the point where you feel, okay, am I still staying in my space? Because it's so important to hold the space for the client and for it not to be about you, but about them. But sometimes they reflect so much to you that for a moment takes you out of the healing space, and you're like, oh God, I have that too, I need to work through it. So it's sometimes that happens too. Great. Beautiful, guys. Okay, wonderful. So let's go. We have about half an hour left. If you guys do you guys have any questions about what we've gone through so far?
No, I
No?
keep forgetting this is an hour and a half instead of an hour, but I have a work meeting that was an hour that I missed the first half hour of, but they wanted me for the other half.
So you need to go?
Yeah, I do today, but if you could tell me what you'll cover, I don't know if it's something I could make up or if I could just watch the recording or.
Yeah. So this is going to be an experiential. We're actually going to experience the energy. We're going to experience opening the energy centers, tapping into your essence, stepping into your level of intention. So you can probably do it following the recording. And then if you have any questions, we can always just get in touch for like a discovery call or something and practice together if you want. Does that work for you, Hannah?
It does. I'm sorry, I'm gonna miss the live one.
Oh, I know, me too. Well, next time, please make sure you're available for an hour and a half if it's possible, okay?
Okay. Nice meeting you,
Beautiful.
Simon.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you,
We'll
Anna.
see you. Yeah, we'll
Bye.
see you soon. Bye. Beautiful, Simon. So it's you and I. Are you ready to practice?
I am.
Yay. Well, we're still missing two more people, but I think one of them is traveling and the other one actually said that their internet wasn't the best. So I guess they're sort of going to watch it online, but we're going to have the best time ever, you and me. So let's get through it. And you were able to log into the online portal. You were able to access the information?
Yes.
Perfect. I love it. Okay, beautiful. So let's just start with very, very simple exercises, and we're going to sort of go into more and more complex ones in terms of sensing the energy. So I want you to maybe bring your hands together and rub them a little bit together just to become a bit more grounded into this experience. And I'm going to put the music on. And maybe I'll share the music with you. And let me know as I'm sharing the music if you can hear it and if you can hear my voice as well.
Yep.
Both? Okay, perfect. Sounds great. So let's place our hands facing each other. Beautiful. And I just want you to let me know as you're bringing them a bit closer what happens in between your hands. We're just going to tune into your visual sense, kinesthetic sense. Just let me know what comes up for you as you're tuning into that space between your hands.
So at this point, they feel like they're being drawn together.
Yeah, beautiful. Great. Do you feel like it becomes more palpable, like the space kind of becomes denser in between the hands as you're getting closer, or is it like what's happening to that energy between the hands?
Yeah, so I got feeling of tingliness in the hands. It is getting.
Sorry,
yes. They wrapped early and they didn't need me, so I can rejoin. So I'm back.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, Simon, I'm just gonna tell Hannah what we're doing and then you'll continue. So what we're doing is we just rub their hands together, and I want you to position them facing each other and start slowly bringing them together and just feel into what's going on in that space. So the hands are facing each other. And so Simon, you were saying that what happened when you were bringing them closer?
So as I brought my hand closer, there's kind of a solid energy. So they kind of stop.
Beautiful. So there's sort of a bit of like a boundary, like a bit of a push and pull there.
Yeah.
Great. So what about you, Hannah? What's coming up for you as you're sort of focusing on that space?
I do too. I feel walls and tingling, but I also feel like there's a ball of light, and then if I push through it, there's another ball of light, and then a different.
Amazing.
And then there's places between them where not that there's nothing, but it's soft as opposed to hard.
Very, very cool. I love that. Beautiful. Now let's place one hand facing kind of the sky, and just take your index finger. And what we're going to do is we're going to start tracing the circles on your open palm without touching it, right? So you just slowly, can you guys see it? So you just kind of hold it perpendicular, and very slowly you're tracing a circle. And let me know what that feels like for you. So you're sort of like drawing a circle with your finger on your palm without touching it. And so just let me know what comes up for you as you're doing that.
Kind of feel it in the hand.
What are you feeling? What comes up for you?
It's like a movement.
Great. What about you, Hannah? What's coming up for you?
It's like that slime that you make with shaving cream. It's you draw a line and the line doesn't close up. It's like drawing it in sand and then it collapses back in. But it's if I draw it, it'll stay open for a while before it closes up again.
I love it, you guys. Amazing.
Yeah,
So
I do feel a resistance to
resistance. Great. So if you think about sort of the way the energy field is, it's comprised of energy, different frequencies, right? Like the closest to our body is the etheric layer that vibrates the lower frequency and it permeates our body, like it goes right through. And then the next one is a higher frequency that is, it feels more like, maybe air or like clouds, right? And it also goes all the way through. And then the next one is more structured, right? So the closer to the body we are, the denser it gets, right? So that's why it's so much easier to feel things closer as opposed to further away. But the more sensitive we become, we can feel it at a distance as well. And if you think about your energetic finger kind of extending, right? And your energetic hand extending, they're basically touching each other, right? And so that's why we're feeling all of these sensations. And so when you're doing the chelation, you would place your hands on the person's body, but eventually you can do it long distance, like Simon does a lot of long distance work, right? All you need to do is just basically drop your energetic hands into their energetic body, right? And so it's not even the physical contact at that point, it's more of the energetic contact that you guys are connecting to. Great. Beautiful. Now, let's open our energy centers. So I'm going to stop this music for a second. I'm going to start at the different one. And I want you guys, for this one, we're going to stand up and I'll explain to you what we're going to do. So I'm going to play this file and it's called 7 Energy Centers. We have it in our meditation. And basically, we're going to stand up. So if you can find a comfortable position, if you can't stand, you can do it sitting, but I always found it's easier to do standing up. So see if you can maybe, there you go. Perfect. Wonderful. Great. And so I want you to feel into your energy field right now. Just kind of notice the way you're feeling and maybe give me a word, like what comes up for you? How are you feeling right now?
Taller, actually.
Oh, yeah? What about you, Simon?
I'm not quite sure, to tell you the truth. Huh?
Yeah, okay. Well, just kind of notice how you're feeling, and then we're going to tune in and see how we're feeling after this exercise. So this is the exercise you can do for opening the energy centers. And basically, there are a few components that we're going to use initially to open the energy centers. So the first one is hand positions. When we're starting out, it's always easier to place the hand by the energy center that we are connecting to, because that just brings your awareness to that area. When you become really good, you can just kind of mentally visualize opening the energy centers, and that's fine. But initially, we place our hands. So we're going to place our hands sort of by the perineum, right? And visualize this vortex of energy coming out of the perineum and rotating clockwise and pointing down into the earth. right? And we're going to be channeling color. So in a second, I'm going to play the sound file that says first chakra, and then he's playing the sound that starts to trigger the first chakra opening up. And so you're going to visualize a red ball, breathing it in from the top of your head and breathing it out of your energy center at the bottom. Ooh, and so you would also sound it out. You can do the sound that he's playing. You can do any other sound, just kind of as you're breathing in through your body and breathing out with a sound that allows you to open this energy even more. And so we're going to be visualizing red, breathing in, breathing out. Ooh. And then he's going to say second chakra. We're going to change the hands front and the back, right? And we're going to visualize orange and breathe in and breathe out. Ooh, front and the back, and visualizing orange flowers bloom. And then he's going to say yellow. He's going to say third energy center. We're going to move our hands to the solar plexus, do the same thing. Then the heart, I typically put both of them on the heart because I can't stretch that way. And then we go to the neck and the third eye. And then we're basically going to close the field and visualize opening up the crown. Does that sound like an interesting experiment?
Mhm.
Yeah? Okay, perfect. So let me play, and I'm also going to guide you through it.
First chakra.
So first chakra. So we're going to breathe in with orange and breathe out at the base. And so sound it out. It doesn't have to be singing, or it could be, but breathing out through your open mouth. Just channeling it in. Visualizing red flower blooming at the base of your spine. You can also visualize grounding your feet and just growing roots into the earth. Beautiful. And so focusing on the root, awakening that energy center, setting the intention to bloom that red flower. And you may start feeling a bit of heat rising. You may feel a bit more grounded. You may feel more open. Beautiful. So just setting the intention to keep that open, moving your hands to the second, front and back. We're now going to focus on the orange.
Second chakra.
So breathing in from the top with orange. Breathing out front and back. Ooh, and so breathing it out. Beautiful. Visualizing orange flowers blooming. Sending these vibrations out. And you can also tap into your sensual, sexual force and just notice, what does this energy feel for you? Is it like maybe a bit cooler than the first one? Maybe it's a bit that wants you to move and stretch. Maybe it's more velvety. What does this color feel like for you? So setting the intention to open the second energy center, connecting to your life force, to your sexuality. Beautiful. Coming up to your solar plexus, visualizing yellow. Breathing in the yellow. And so breathing out of your solar plexus, visualizing beautiful golden star, just this incredible sun blooming out of your solar plexus, connecting to your self-care, self-confidence. Opening up, breathing in through your nose and out of your mouth. Beautiful. And noticing which of the energy centers are easier for you to open and connect with, and which ones are harder. Checking that the red is still open, the orange is still open, now the yellow, and we're moving to the heart. So just a bit longer here, moving to. We're going to turn ourselves into a rainbow bridge. And so connecting to your heart, visualizing green color. And you can also visualize everybody that you love and just really open up your heart and bringing in the green. Just really opening it up. And visualize as though as you're walking on the green grass or that you're being covered by leaves. Maybe you were in the forest and just really open up to this beautiful state of unconditional love. Wonderful. Notice in this frequency what it feels like for you. Is it easy for you to access this or hard? And so as you're breathing out with your mouth open, right, it really allows you to carry that energy longer. Breathing it out with a sound, moving your hands to your neck now, and you can loosen, kind of open your jaw, and maybe you can yawn also, and just really visualize a bright blue color, breathing in and out. So channel it out, this bright blue sky with clouds, and this is your communication center. Notice how open it is for you. Notice what it feels like to open it up. Notice how this frequency feels. Sometimes for me, it feels a bit cooler. I get a bit lightheaded as I go up and higher in these energy centers, and still kind of keep in touch with the red and the orange and the green, staying open. Beautiful. Wonderful. Coming up to your third eye, visualizing dark indigo. And just really connecting to the clairvoyance, to your creativity, to
Sixth
your
chakra.
intuition. Wonderful. Feeling into that vibration and that expansion, noticing what your energy field feels like when you're opening up your energy centers. What does your emotional field feel like? Your physical body, what happens to you when you open yourself up? And then the last frequency we're going to access, you're going to visualize a bright shimmering white color entering through the top of your head and then just going all the way down and just creating a beautiful kind of a cocoon all around you. Ooh, and so protecting everything that you just created, right? And blooming this flower on top of your head and also creating this protective cocoon, this beautiful kind of surrounding energy field, this beautiful cocoon surrounding energy field with all of the wonderful colors inside. And this is your connection to the highest frequency in the auric field we're going to access. Oh, wonderful. Great, great job, you guys. Perfect. Beautiful. So take a few moments just to sort of come back to this room and then let me know, how was this experience for you and how are you feeling in comparison to where you've started? Just noticing. Yeah.
More unstable.
More unstable.
But also more aware. Like
Yeah.
the front is a lot brighter than the back. And also where the where it's dimmer, for me, I can be, well, you can't see, I can be like here. I can be here, but to connect the two, this is where I feel the least.
No, I see.
It's like Okay, let's work here, because this is, you mentioned in the last class about connecting with energy.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm by myself, I can tune into that. When I'm with other people,
Mm-hmm.
well, under certain circumstances, I get it from them, but I have less, because I guess it's so abundant, but I don't want to be an energy vampire, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And whenever you feel low on energy, grounding is a great technique that we're going to cover next. So whenever you feel that, grounding is the best. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Hannah. That sounds great. What about you, Simon? Oh God, Simon. What happens to you? How are you feeling? Oh, we can't hear you for some reason. Maybe the microphone.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
So the sacral area is always the strongest for me. It's when I start playing with it, I feel it in my guts, like it kind of tingles or something. The area in my heart, this one started aching a bit. It's been aching for a while now, maybe 3 weeks a month. So there's something happening in that area. I think I need to go in it more to find out what's happening in there. But that's one area that it feels weird. And yeah, those are the two areas that I feel the most.
Beautiful, great awareness. I love how clairvoyant you guys are. And next time we're actually going to start diving into more of the personal process, right? So that could be helpful in terms of like, what do you do with those blockages? How do you handle maybe negative emotions or whatever you're feeling energetically? So that's going to be interesting. Beautiful. Okay, so let's focus now on two more dimensions. One of them is grounding and the level of intention, and the next one is our essence. So the level of intention is the area that is helping us achieve intentions that we set in life. It looks like a vertical laser line of light that connects you to the sky and the earth, and it has several energetic points on it, right? Like as we kind of touched upon last session, and also in your homework and your extracurricular homework examples, there's a whole chapter on energy on your level of intention. I personally love level of intention. I have a lot of stories about like achieving goals through the use of level of intention. I find it extremely powerful. So the way we would explore it is you could stand up or you can keep sitting down, whatever works for you. We have Tantien that is located about 1.5 inches below the belly button. And as we typically would, I would encourage you to place your middle fingers on this area, because when you have physical contact, it always helps to kind of channel your energy there. So as you're breathing into your Tantien, it may be helpful to keep your eyes maybe slightly open and looking a bit down, just because this is a grounded energy. And sometimes when we close our eyes, it tends to take us out of our field into like higher frequencies, but it's up to you, whatever works for you. I want you to visualize now golden ball that lives inside of you at this height, right? But like inside of you, and just visualize a golden ball. And the more you breathe into this ball, the more I want you to visualize it becoming red and hot. You can also visualize growing roots out of your feet. So just keep focusing on that sensation of growing roots out of your feet and visualizing this golden ball becoming red and hot. And then let me know if anything shifts in you, if anything changes in you at all, and tell me what it is.
Have you ever had a leak in an inflatable? And if you where the leak was and the air would come out? That's what it feels like, except it's not air, it's light. But if you have pain and you want circulation or attention to go there, like I know if I get a chiropractic treatment or applied kinesiology, she'll just dig into me, until it feels better. But when I press somewhere, it feels like it's saying, okay, you want all the light to go there, and then it comes shooting out like a little spotlight. That's what it feels like, is
Wow.
like the universal pictures as the globe is revolving and you see all the
Yeah.
lights come on. That's kind of what it
Wow.
feels like.
I love it. What about you, Simon? What comes up for you?
For me, what I felt was there was kind of a little bit of tension or heaviness. And as I focused there and I filled up the bowl, it kind of became lighter and lighter, and it filled that bowl and kept going downwards, right?
Beautiful, great. So as you're aware of this Tantian becoming red and hot, right? I want you to now extend the laser line of light straight into the earth and basically anchor it into the core of the earth. So this technique may make you feel more grounded. It may make you feel like the light is coming out of you, right? So both of you guys were spot on. And also it may make you feel like you're hot, like you're sweating, right? Because this is basically the grounding technique that allows you to get the energy from the earth. And let me know if you're able to notice what happens with that laser line of light as you're kind of channeling the energy of the earth into your body. Are you able to feel a bit more stable? Are you able to feel like you're heavier at the bottom, right? Like sort of your lower part of the field. Do you feel like you were maybe more energized? Is there like sort of hot and heavy, slow energy starting to climb up, right? Ulax, beautiful.
It does feel like putting a pin in an insect. And the other thing was, it feels like that red hot ball is Jupiter, because there's other things above and below it that are getting bigger, like other planets, you know, when they should, not that they ever align in a straight line, I don't think, but that's what it feels like. Like it gets hot and then the other ones also get hot.
Amazing. So keep trusting that guidance that you receive and keep feeling into that ground. And as a more advanced step, you can take that laser line of light all the way up through your head and out to the sky, right? So you can complete it. You don't have to do that step. That's kind of more advanced. Grounding works just as well from Tantian and down. But basically this makes you feel like you're unstoppable, like you're grounded, like you're hot. And this is the configuration you would use for your healing. You will open up your energy centers, you will ground into the earth, and just keep practicing holding this throughout your healing, and you will be fine, right? You will be able to, you'll be completely safe in terms of not picking up any lower frequencies, and you also will be able to affect positive change in your client because their field will rise to your frequency. Beautiful. So we can keep practicing that between this class and the next class. And the last place I wanted us to tap into would be our essence. So I want you to kind of shake it off a little bit, disconnect from the earth. And now place your hands on your stomach. And I want you to just start, and you can close your eyes for this one. And I want you to just start visualizing a beautiful star that lives inside of you. So connect to the space of you that always has been, always will be. And the more you breathe into it, the more the star starts to expand. The rays of light are starting to come out of your stomach, into your chest, into your hips. Keep breathing into it, and so inviting this really high frequency into your body, expanding even more into your shoulders, your knees. Visualizing this beautiful bright star with brilliant colors coming out of your head and your feet and expanding into this room, feeling how shimmering and light it is, how expansive, how it's just endless, and how powerful. And keep visualizing it expanding beyond your room, into the house that you're in, or into the building, out into the neighborhood. Keep expanding it into your province or maybe state, into the country, and out into the universe. Just visualizing yourself becoming bright and shimmering star. Beautiful. And so let's just stay in this state for a few more moments and notice how different this might feel from the energy field and the energy centers that we've experienced, which was more fluid and kind of emotional, and from the level of intention, which was more intentional and kind of grounded. very, very, like the way I usually perceive it is it's extremely empowering and just brilliant, shimmering essence of who we are beyond the time and space, right? So this is who we truly are beyond our bodies. Beautiful. So just let's take a few more breaths into the space. And then when you're ready, you can start bringing your awareness back. And slowly opening your eyes. And let me know, how was that experience for you, the essence? What did you guys feel?
That felt like, well, nothing. I mean, like light, it has no weight, right? The other one I had a question about, because I started to feel like I was in a full body cast or nailed to a cross, but the other sensation, other than, being pinned, was a perpendicular through almost like through my shoulders, but just as I was pinned this way, I started to feel pinned this way. And I don't know if there's another, like very perpendicular, very balanced, 90 degrees on both sides, but stable.
Very, very cool. Like when you learn about the level of intention, you learn that there are several energetic points, right? And sometimes we need to align our level of intention. Sometimes we may want to experience like a horror alignment, and we can do it together, or you can read more about it. Sometimes our maybe a horror line or the level of intention line is broken or just not as aligned, right? And so there is a point here that's called a soul seat, right? And that's the one that's responsible for our soul's longing. So I'm not sure, just maybe keep meditating and then see what happens there. Like, is there a misalignment, or is it just very strong? Like what comes up for you, right? But it's interesting that it actually corresponds to that energetic center that is all about your soul's longing. Are you aligned with your soul's longing? Are you like,
no.
Or maybe you were not, right? So whatever comes up. So maybe you just need to kind of align, because the laser line of light, that car line, it consists of this point going down, this point connecting to this point, and then this point connecting to ID point that then takes you up. So perhaps you need to do some work or get some work done with regards to strengthening your car line. That could be your guidance. Beautiful. What about you, Simon? How was the essence for you? How was the heart?
When I brought it in, I had a little bit of nauseousness. There was a lot of energy coming through. But after it expanded, it felt a lot better. It just felt good.
Wonderful. And essence could be very healing, right? Like this is the energy you can trust. This is the energy of love. This is the energy of peace. This is the energy of, guidance. You can receive guidance when you're in essence. Also, some people say that it's a very, very healing state. So whenever, somebody, I don't know, has cancer, we tell them to use more of the higher frequencies. One note on cancer, cancer is the type of energy that we should not shine any light into, right? Because it could expand, like it could grow. And so it's important to ask your clients if they do have cancer anywhere. And if they do, you may either consider not working with them or just avoiding that area altogether, because we don't want to sort of encourage the growth. And also just trust your instinct, right? Just trust whatever you're seeing. But if you're grounded, if your energy centers are open, you will be able to affect great healing, and you will also stay safe from any type of lower frequencies that may be in their field. Wonderful. Do you guys have any questions before we complete the session today?
Pretty straightforward.
I was curious about cancer. There's so many different theories about cancer. And when you were saying, don't give it any energy, it feels like when I think the stories I've heard about people who get cancer in their chest or breast cancer, or it's like there is something they want to do, but because they don't have an outlet for it, the body will make an outlet, which is to grow a tumor, right? Or if it's on the skin or the liver, whatever, it seems to like it, I don't know, trying to tell you something, but also like you really want to do something, but it's got to go somewhere, and it's gonna, like, if you don't do the thing you want to do, you're gonna get a tumor because you can't turn it off, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know. Have you heard?
there are a lot of different views, right? Like I personally myself had thyroid cancer, right? And when I realized that I had thyroid cancer, I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I must have been doing something wrong. Like, what's going on? I'm responsible for this cancer, right? So there's definitely like this trail of thought, or this, this foundational belief in the healing society that we are creating our own disease, right? Like if we are not I don't know, expressing something, if we are not expressing it, not processing the frequency, right, we may create disease. And I do believe that stress causes physical symptoms, right? So we very much could, depending on our patterns, have a disease created in our bodies. But then I also believe that there are environmental factors, right? And like no matter what you do, you could get sick. Maybe there's, a person with COVID next to you, or perhaps, you were genetically predisposed to have it, right? So I think it's a combination of things. Like I'm sure we can do our part to eat healthy, to exercise, to keep our energy field in check, to work through our blockages, to question our belief systems, to work in terms of the psychotherapy and so on, right? But there are also like other things that unfortunately are out of our control. So it's sort of a combination. But I would say in my experience, like dealing with cancer, I could not really find, and I know some people like are able to heal themselves and others, and I believe in that, and sometimes you just can't. Right. So some people specialize in cancer, and that's great. And when I was working with someone, he said you need to like really focus on the light. But for those of us who don't specialize in cancer, when I went to school, I learned that you just don't touch it. Like you basically create a safe boundary around it because you don't want to encourage it to grow and multiply. So that's what I've learned.
Yeah, it would be nice. I know when I first started exploring these things, the idea was that, you will be in a blissful state. You'll never get sick. You'll never age. You'll be in love 100% of the
never
time.
die.
And we have all the same problems that everybody else does. Yeah, it's not you just learn more and you have experiences, but you don't really, like everybody I've ever met still gets sick or still stubs their toe or still whatever.
Like I think incrementally, or maybe the way you look at things changes, right? And of course, when you initially are start from a healthier level, you probably have better chances to like cope with whatever. Like for example, 2 weeks after the surgery, I went back to the gym, right? Like my body was able to heal faster. But can we prevent ourselves from getting sick? I don't know. Like I wasn't able to. Maybe some people can. Maybe it's just the next level, right? But I think it's a combination of things.
Yeah, for me, what I believe is it's negative energy that's being stuck in the physical body, but that could be from this lifetime, and it could be from generational, and it could be also from past life that, depending on the person, because everybody is different and they all have their own story, right? So let's say that something happened to the great grandmother, and I see this in a lot of women that has menstruational issue. There's still darker energy floating around, and it creates so much problem with the physical. And once that's dealt with, it gets better. For cancer, I believe it's the same process. It's just a negative energy that's stuck. It could be in an organ, it could be into just the skin, or it could be anywhere, really. But yeah, I mean, it depends on what the person believes as well, right? And I mean, we all have chemical in our body, and the society is thriving on chemical now, so it does not help either.
Yeah, a lot of like environmental triggers, I guess, the air, the quality of the food that we eat, and so on. In my master's of quantum psychology, we study such thing as epigenetics, right? And then there's also so this is how you can behaviorally actually adjust your genes, right? But there are also epigenetics that are like family based, and so depending on your family history, right? Like all of that is kind of overlapping and working together, your genetics, your behavior, the epigenetics, the what is it called when you can change the neural pathways, neuroplasticity, right? So we are able to affect the change. There's no question about it, but there's just so much at play. So we just always do our best. And yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, guys. I loved connecting with you. What was the most useful thing for you today?
I think that was just the exercise that we've done. You know, it opened up the centers, and from there, I think the more I do, I may learn a lot more. I mean, I've been doing it, but it's a different practice I'm doing.
Modality, yeah, slightly. Beautiful. That's great.
I'd say the same thing, the visualization. What modality do you practice, Simon? Or can you describe what you do?
For me, actually, the modality that I'm doing it's one that I created on my own. It's just information that's been downloaded. I've been doing other courses. It's just love and light and different courses, but over the year, I created my own modality. So I work with entities and dark energy, and I remove the darker energy in the body. So it's, yeah.
Where does it go? Out of curiosity, because my daughter will ask me, where do I send the bad thoughts? And I've done different visualizations with her, but they always seem to come back.
Yeah, just like she mentioned earlier, you can send it to the higher or in the ground for her to take care of it. For me, I do similar to what she said, but except that I put it on the side and I wait for one or the other to come and grab it. So once they grab it, they pull it down or they pull it up. So therefore I know it's gone. That's, yeah.
You give them
that's how.
It's like equal opportunity employer.
Well, that's it, right?
Put it out.
And therefore it's
Don't
being
discriminate between the
transmuted.
white and the dark. I love it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Beautiful, you guys. Okay, that sounds great. Well, let me know if you have any questions. So lovely to connect with both of you. And I love how, open you are and clairvoyant, and so great to learn from you and, experiment with you guys. So let me know if you have any questions about the homework. And then next time we're going to focus more on the personal work and kind of working through the blockages and negative emotions and so on. Wonderful.
Sounds good.
Beautiful. Okay, guys, I'll see you
Awesome.
soon, and have
Thank
a great remainder of your day.
Okay. Bye.